A good deal of pressure on me to change my position in relation to joining the war, and I'm not going to change my position on the war. So whatever the pressure, whatever the noise, I'm the British Prime Minister and I have to act in our national interests.
This was presented as an emergency address, a moment meant to steady the public during rising global uncertainty. But what unfolded may have pushed into territory many believed would remain off-limits politically. Under mounting pressure from international instability, public criticism by Donald Trump, and a rapidly shifting global landscape, the Prime Minister stepped forward to project control and reassurance. However, the tone and direction of the speech suggested something far more complex beneath the surface. What was meant to calm concerns may instead have raised new ones.
But we made it clear in the manifesto that we wanted a closer relationship with Europe, so that is perfectly consistent with our manifesto.
Rather than offering a clear, defensive stance, the message appeared to lean toward a closer alignment with European partners. That shift carries significant weight. It reopens debates around Brexit, national sovereignty, and the UK's independent role on the world stage. For many observers, this wasn't just a policy signal. It felt like a repositioning. And with that comes a wave of questions about long-term strategy and political intent.
I'm ambitious that we can do more in relation to the single market because I think that's hugely in our economic interests. Obviously, this is a matter of negotiation and discussion with the EU.
So the key issue becomes this. Are we looking at decisive leadership during a critical moment or a subtle departure from earlier commitments? The answer may lie not only in what is openly stated, but also in what is carefully left unsaid. Every phrase, every omission carries meaning here. Take a close look at how this unfolds. If you want direct, unfiltered analysis on UK politics and shifting global dynamics, make sure to subscribe, because this is where those details get properly examined.
Now, it's not going to be easy, clearly. And in the coming weeks, as you would expect, we will continue to assess the economic effects. We will continue to stand up for the British national interest. And we will continue to do what we must to guide our country calmly through this storm. However, it is increasingly clear that as the world continues down this volatile path, our long-term national interest requires closer partnership with our allies in Europe and with the European Union. Now we have made progress on this front, on agriculture, electricity, emissions trading, and more. But as the Chancellor has rightly pointed out, Brexit did deep damage to our economy, and the opportunities to strengthen our security and cut the cost of living are simply too big to ignore. So, in the coming weeks, we will announce a new summit with our EU partners. And I can tell you that at that summit, the UK will not just ratify existing commitments made at last year's summit. We want to be more ambitious. Closer economic cooperation, closer security cooperation, a partnership that recognises our shared values, our shared interest, and our shared future. A partnership for the dangerous world that we must navigate together. A world where this government will be guided at all times by the interests of the British people. Thank you.
This moment is being positioned as strong leadership under pressure. But to fully understand it, you need to listen beyond the surface. Pay close attention to the wording, the framing, and the emphasis. In political communication, what is implied can often matter more than what is explicitly stated. The real message is sometimes hidden between the lines.
What you said about close relationships with Europe, do you believe, you said before that you don't think it's right for the UK to rejoin the customs union. Are we heading towards more of a rejoining of the single market? Is that something you think would improve Britain's economic future?
Well, I do think that we should strengthen our cooperation on defence, security, energy, emissions and the economy. And on the economy, the steps we've taken so far have been in relation to the single market. And I'm ambitious that we can do more in relation to the single market, because I think that's hugely in our economic interests. Obviously, this is a matter of negotiation and discussion with the EU, but the summit we have this year will not just be a stocktake summit where we look at actually the 10 strands that we put in place last year. It will be a deliberate ambition on our part to go further than that and to cooperate more deeply, including in the economic sphere. So thank you, Jessica. I've got Jack from The Sun. Jack.
Hi, Prime Minister. Jack Elson from The Sun. Can I just pick up on that point? Do your manifesto commitments not to rejoin the customs union, free movement or single market still stand? And you've previously said from this podium that you wouldn't be forced to choose between tethering Britain closer to either Europe or America, but it does seem that you are engaging with closer negotiations with Europe, and you have a deteriorating personal relationship with Donald Trump. So is it fair that you are actually choosing Europe over America?
Well, manifesto commitments remain, but we made it clear in the manifesto that we wanted a closer relationship with Europe, so that is perfectly consistent with our manifesto. I'm not going to choose, because I think it's in our interest to have a strong relationship with the US and with Europe, but I do think that when it comes to defence and security, energy, emissions and the economy, we need a stronger relationship with Europe. I actually think that will help strengthen our relationship with the US, because successive presidents have said that Europe needs to do more on their defence and security. I've long argued that with European colleagues, that we should be doing more. And that's not just, for example, on defence spend, although it is on defence spend, it's also on how we spend, how we collaborate, cooperate, and that's why I've focused on deals, for example, that we've done with Norway in relation to frigates. Really good deal, very good for trade, very good for jobs in the Clyde, but really importantly, interoperability of the frigates. We can have our crews on their frigates, they can have their crews on our frigates. That to me is the future of a stronger European defence, which is bringing together the capability that we've had, so we don't just get each country developing its own capability. It's an ongoing discussion. I spoke at the Munich conference about it. I spoke at the JEF meeting about it last week in Finland, that we have to go beyond just a numbers game and be much more integrated in the way that we work on defence and security. Thank you, Jack. And I've got Joe from Bloomberg. Joe.
President Trump said yesterday that he wouldn't come to the aid of the UK anymore in his Truth Social post. How seriously do you take that threat from our main ally?
Well, it's very important that we're clear. There's been a good deal of pressure on me to change my position in relation to joining the war, and I'm not going to change my position on the war. So whatever the pressure, whatever the noise, I'm the British Prime Minister and I have to act in our national interests. I should say that on defence and security and intelligence, we're obviously working closely with the US, as we always do. And in relation to the planning on the Strait of Hormuz, of course, that involves talking to the Americans as well. So, as I say, whatever the pressure, whatever the noise, my job is, as British Prime Minister, to concentrate on what's in the British national interest. That's what's guided me through this conflict so far. It will continue to guide me as we go forward. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
If you believe moments like this deserve closer examination, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more, and share it with others who want a clearer perspective. The more attention these exchanges receive, the harder they become to overlook. Now I want your take. Was this a necessary move in response to global risks, or a shift that wasn't meant to draw too much attention?